Hey guys, thanks for your patience and me getting this over to you. I don't think I've ever, it's not that the analysis is so complex, I just have so much, I'm so torn on a couple items and I'll get into it in just a second. One is I don't have the numbers for that type of house where half the square footage is downstairs, half the square footage is upstairs in a neighborhood like that that still needs some remodeling. So I have to make a lot of subjective judgments, and I have to go back and forth, trying to decide where our value lies in an active market. So this is the subject property that your mom and dad own. 2,000 square feet upstairs. You can see here that they basically double the square. Here's the basement square footage. They double the basement, so it pretty much has the same footprint as the upstairs. I'm not sure where that extra couple of feet comes from. It could come from just a builder recording things weird, or it could come from just a bay window or something like that. So here's my initial analysis where I break down the properties in the neighborhood to come up with a price per square foot for the upstairs of the house. So when I do that, I come up with, I'll tell you what, I'll do it the easy way. I'll hover over these. The first one is $100 a square foot, 110 a square foot, 114, 110, and 73. So if I were to click on all these photos, I try to put the house right in the middle. What's important here to recognize is this one at 101 a square foot kind of sets our bar for the most I think we could possibly expect to get. This one, you can see it shows very well. It does have hardwoods in the kitchen, things like that. But this is kind of the minimum quality that I've seen. Everything else was far superior. Granite countertops, lots of updates. So this tells me I don't think we're going to be getting $100 a square foot for the upstairs. But if you go back to the one that listed for 73 a square foot, I'm really equally certain that this would be our low end. One reason why is you can't see any pictures of the inside of this house, which is usually a good sign. I'm sorry, you can see pictures of the inside of this house, but this one was a HUD foreclosure. So this one presents itself pretty decent, but I actually used to work for this company, and we sold a lot of very distressed properties. So this goes through a HUD bidding process. And I think that really hurts the overall amount that people can get. Most people aren't as familiar with that process. But I do think this says, hey, you know, we're at least at 73. We have a lot better finishes in some ways, and without being in the house, I can just imagine it was a little rough. So I'd say 73 is the low end. And let me go to, so then what we want to do is we want to go to our active analysis. And what I'm doing is what's called a value approach, which means we're going to assume that somebody is banking on that basement, that the 2,100 square feet analysis is helpful in determining a price that appraisers can use. But we also have to decide, what if someone actually has a need? So I capped it at 3,000 square feet just to see what I could get. Now, when I go to 3,000 square feet, assuming much more than that, it would be pretty excessive. Most people aren't shopping for 4,000 square feet. It's a bonus if they find it. But what you see here is that I can get, for $259, I can get 3,000 square feet all upstairs in Willoughby Station, great little neighborhood. And then for $279, I can get 3,000 square feet all upstairs for $279. I'm not going to put a lot of stock in that yet. But what that tells me is that if that is the need of over 3,000 square feet, all the extra square footage just becomes redundant. And that's what we talked about a little bit about inversion. A certain amount of extra square footage doesn't really help you because I'm appraising that extra square footage so much lower. And then finally, this is where I just was really torn back and forth, is there is the possibility that someone actually needs 4,000 square feet for a mother-in-law suite or something like that. So we do, again, a value approach. This has nothing to do with what appraisers can come up with. But so we can't shoot for the moon and expect to get it, because at the end of the day it has to appraise out. But what you see is these houses are all superior. They're on multiple acres. They're just really amazing houses. But if you really did have a need for 4,000 square feet, the closest you could get would be 380. Now, the people who are spending 380 are not the same people who are going to be looking in our neighborhood. However, we're bringing incredible value for a very special niche in the market right now. So, going back. So here's my quick analysis. I don't show you all my math. I literally just do it on a sheet of paper in front of me as I go through all this. It takes me hours. Is that I want to go over a couple of the objective measures that I'm taking into consideration every time I do these. But basically, the square footage, these are things we can measure: past sales, condition of the property, updates completed, basement square footage, and garage space. These are all things that an appraiser will take into consideration. So we can't go beyond those things, but we can, sell to the top of those things. And here's the subjective factors that are really just playing heavy on my mind when we go through this whole thing, is that busy roads, pools, they go up or down. Size of the yard, we're fine on that one. It helps a little, but if it's not buildable, it doesn't add a ton of money. Access to the backyard, we're fine on all these, except when we get to the bottom one, ease of showing and presentation. The house needs a lot. As you know, it's not that it was maintenance deferred. Obviously, folks took care of everything that needed to be taken care of. Like we talked about, I live in Donaldson, and most of the houses that I sell, or a huge portion of the houses I sell, the folks who lived in them did everything that needed to be done for the house. However, they didn't bring it up to standard. And then, of course, the ease of showing means that with all the folks living there, that's going to make it a very difficult, uncomfortable situation for people showing unless everybody gets out of the house. And even then, it really needs to be cleaned up and staged a lot better. So if we look at our actual dollars that we have here, I put us directly between $73 and $95 a square foot, assuming that would be about where we're going to be with the renovations that, or the upgrades that need to be done. I don't think it is quite to the level of $100 a square foot for the upstairs, and I don't think it's as bad as the 73 a square foot. However, that 255 is what I call my probable sales price. So that part I can come up with pretty easily. But then what really gets me is I recognize that we're bringing an incredible value for folks who need that 4,000 square feet. And that has me pushing it way higher. Usually my probable sales price is within 10 grand of what I actually go to market with. But I know when we go above 284, we cannot get an appraisal. Okay, this just will not come out. But I still want to see us push that a lot higher. So I put the marketing price at 279. If we were in tip-top shape, we could possibly get the 284. I'm counting the square footage, the basement square footage in all these analyses at 50%. It's probably not quite to the grade of 50%, which is really about the top, except I like the mother-in-law suite down in the basement, and there's some money invested in that, so I kind of went to the top of that, but an appraiser will give it to us, I believe. So what I basically did is backed out just $5 grand out of our top dollar price of 285 to say that we could appraise for that, but the house does need some work. Now I'm going to stick by my probable sales price in terms of where I think we're going to float down to. However, I think that it would be doing you guys a disservice to start that close to our probable sales price until we know that there's not buyers out there this month and the next month that are willing to pay more just to have that finished square space. I grew up with a mixed family where we had 4 teenagers, and I know we would have had to have looked at large houses like that, and probably houses that had square footage below grade so that we could actually afford it. So that's my thoughts. I've spent a lot of time and thinking through this, and I am open to hearing what you guys think. Most importantly, what we need to do is we need to get on the phone and talk about how we're going to get this house presentable. And I know there's a lot of hoops to jump through. But the best scenario is everybody moves out and we get the house cleaned and staged as best possible with what's left there. So let's talk and let me know what you think. I'll be looking forward to hearing from you.